With San Francisco wrapping up their first day of training camp, honestly, one of the most impressive players on the field was the rookie Mykel Williams out of Georgia. Today, for instance, not only did he look dominant setting the edge in the run game, which should help San Francisco actually become one of the better defenses once again under Robert Saleh, he also looked extremely effective as a pass rush specialist, moving over from his defensive end spot to the defensive tackle spot on third down, for instance, in a true pass rush scenario. He was able to beat Dominic Puni basically instantly. And the things that really allow him to beat players aren't things that he's just getting lucky with. He has an extremely quick first step, which will be successful in San Francisco's wide 9 system, and he has insane measurements. He comes in at 6'5", weighing 260 pounds, and his 34 3/8-inch arms allows him to get his arms up in the quarterback's throwing lanes and bat down passes. Maybe more impressively than his arm length, size, and first step though is the power he plays with. In other words, I believe Mykel Williams has the ability to be a similar player like Aldon Smith or Nick Bosa, especially in Chris Kaceric's defensive line. So in this video, I want to dive a little bit more deeply into the player that is Mykel Williams, go over his strengths, his weaknesses, so we can fully understand what San Francisco is getting headed into his rookie campaign and why I think he's going to shock a lot of people. Initially starting out, one of the biggest reasons I believe San Francisco decided to pick up Mykel Williams is the versatility he offers on the defensive line. He's not only the best run-stuffing defensive end in the entire class, on third down, you can slide him over to your defensive tackle spot, and arguably, he was the best pass-rushing defensive tackle in this class. This is vital for both Robert Saleh and Chris Kaceric because a core part of their defensive line is substitutions, and a core substitution is NASCAR packages where defensive ends slide over and become defensive tackles. We saw this with Charles Omenihu and players like that. And already this offseason, you can see San Francisco building this package with not only Mykel Williams, but with their recent signing Bryce Huff, who will just be a pass rush specialist in my opinion. But now back to San Francisco's 11th overall pick in Mykel Williams. One of the biggest holes he's going to fill on the defensive side of the ball is as a run stuffer. Last year, San Francisco's defense really struggled in this aspect, and that's why San Francisco used their first 3 picks on players that are really great against the run, and Mykel Williams is no different. According to PFF last year, he was in the 97th percentile for all defenders in his run defense grade, and on top of that, his 7.1% run stop rate was 7th in the SEC among all edge players in 2024. And this was all coming with him playing on an injured ankle. And I get it, some people may say he was injured. San Francisco shouldn't have taken him so high. But to me, I love a player who's willing to fight it out on injury and still be an extremely productive player. And Williams is just that. But now we need to talk about what makes him so effective as a run stuffer. Not only is he great at taking on offensive linemen, getting a full extension, reading where the back is going, I love how smart of a player he is. One thing San Francisco's defensive ends really struggled with last year, for instance, are these low read option plays, but Mykel Williams routinely is able to identify which player is actually getting the ball and then triggering without slowing down. I mean, he's special. Another aspect that makes him so challenging to block in the running game is his get off. He's able to quickly find his way into the backfield, and that's why 30% or more than 30% of his career tackles were tackles for loss. But Williams isn't just a fast defender off the ball, he's a powerful defender off the ball. Routinely, you'll see him driving offensive linemen into the backfield in the running game, and when he's setting the edge as an edge piece, he's fantastic here. The offensive lineman can't drive him down the field, he's just sitting there with his long arms, so if the back does try to bounce outside, he's able to snag him and bring him down. This power is also vital in his ability to get away from blocks. Routinely, you'll see him use his upper body to chop offensive linemen's hands away, and he's often extremely effective doing this. Maybe the most exciting part about Mykel Williams though is I believe he's at the very beginning stages of his development. Last year, for instance, he was injured, so the power you saw was limited power. Pretty scary if you're the rest of the league. This is more so the case considering Mykel Williams can add probably at least 15 more pounds to his frame, which would make him more powerful as an edge piece and even more effective as a run stuffer. But now we need to talk about him getting to the quarterback. Despite him not being the most refined pass rush specialist just yet in his career, he has all the tools to be one of the most effective defenders in the league doing this. Initially for San Francisco, for instance, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised just how effective he is lining up over the guard. Like here, for instance, I think Chris Kasarik will be pulling out a ton of these stunts, and you can see how this athleticism Mykel Williams offers is just way too much for guards, especially guards and tackles handling stunts. 75's lunging at Mykel Williams. Williams blows up your quarterback, gets the fumble on the play, then has the wherewithal to scoop and start running the other direction. It's not just on stunts on the interior though, where Williams will have a lot of success as a rookie, but he will also have success rushing on the edge. He possesses a rare speed to power mixture. When you watch him rush, for instance, routinely you'll see him challenge the outside edge of a tackle before seamlessly transitioning into a bull rush, walking the offensive lineman all the way into the backfield before finally almost getting the sack on the quarterback or getting the sack on the quarterback. Another underappreciated aspect of Williams' pass rush is how active he keeps his hands throughout the rep. Here, for instance, with 52 punching him, he's quickly able to hand swipe him as well as jab him inside the chest, and you can see how his power as well as his technique is too much to handle, and eventually he ends up on the ground, and Williams nearly gets the sack. Another aspect of Williams' game I absolutely love in his pass rush is how active he keeps his hands throughout the rep even when he's double teamed. Here, for instance, he's keeping his hands active fighting 48, then he has to engage with 70, the offensive lineman, and at the last second, he's able to actually get his long arms up in the quarterback's throwing lane, like I was talking about earlier, and bat down this pass. With all those positives being noted about Mykel Williams' game, there are some areas to be concerned about heading into his rookie campaign, with probably the most notable just being his lack of refinement as a pass rush specialist. He needs to continue to add tools to his repertoire, because during the college level, routinely you would see him just pull out a bull rush and not really have any counter if that didn't work. At the NFL level, this needs to change. Granted, I do think he's in a great situation as he can draw on players like Bryce Huff and Nick Bosa, as well as call on his coach and Chris Kasarik to develop a true pass rush plan. With that being said, the other glaring weakness I can see on Mykel Williams' game, or maybe just an area of concern, is his ankle injury he sustained last year. Heading into his rookie campaign for San Francisco, he really needs to prove he can stay healthy long term. Still though, when I'm looking at Mykel Williams, I honestly think he's going to be one of the better defensive players San Francisco has picked up in Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan's era, maybe on the same level as players like Nick Bosa. He's just so talented, and so far, he's living up to his role. And I know we need to see him with pads on, but I expect him to look like the same player we've already seen. At Georgia, for instance, he was really known for his power, and I don't expect that to change at the next level. But now, I want to hear your thoughts about Mykel Williams being one of the more impressive players on San Francisco's field day one of training camp, and it would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video to go ahead and like and subscribe. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.